Welcome to How to Roleplay Your D&D Character. Roleplaying is the biggest part of Dungeons & Dragons. However, it can be one of the most difficult things to do. Today, I'll share some of the things I've learned as a Dungeon Master on how to roleplay your character. Before we begin, if you haven't already, you should watch my video on D&D for new player. It has a lot of information that is referenced in this video. To start, backstory. Your character's backstory is your character's past experiences, the major events and minor events of their life. As I'm going to cover writing the backstory in another video, I won't go in depth for this video. But the sparse notes are that you need to define key events and people in your character's life that shape their personality and their decision making. Your character's backstory is your most valuable tool when role-playing your character. It tells you how your character would act and which decision they would make. One of my players' characters in a previous campaign was a monk whose family was taken from him by orcs. This imparted his character with a never-ending hatred for orcs and a longing for revenge. Ask yourself, if he met an orc, what would happen? He would act rashly and out of anger in anything he did involving this orc. This shows how events in your character's backstory can shape their decision-making and feelings in a certain situation. His thought process wasn't filled with thoughts about what his orc had done to deserve this hatred, but only with feelings of rage for what had been done to his family and a desire to enact revenge on this orc. Think about what your character would feel about a situation or person due to their past experiences. Break down what they would think if they did something that seems suspicious or they did something that might show evil intent. This can help you break down your character's mental process and understand how they would feel in a situation. Getting into the head of your character. Getting into the head of your character is highly associated with your backstory. Your backstory, as I talked about there, helps you compare situations, find motivations for actions, and break down behaviors. But since I've already gone over that, as well as in my D&D for a new player video, we won't cover that again. But I'll share some useful tactics on other ways to get into the head of your character. I've said before that you can write down example situations to break down your character's mental process. But what situations should you write down about your character? I recommend writing down situations that give you a big choice to make. Like I said in D&D for a new player video, think about a situation where if your character could sacrifice themselves to defeat the villain, would they? What is their mental process in that moment? Would they do it with no thoughts in their mind? Or would they weigh the pros and cons? Would they value their life above anybody else and never sacrifice themselves, no matter the cost? The best situations to write your character in are situations like those, that really question your character's morals and personality. They help you figure out what they value and what they don't, and things they would do without hesitation, or they would never do. Character voices and dialogue. For the most part, I've covered most of the big things for character voices in my D&D for a new player video, so check it out if you haven't already. In this video, I want to cover a way to start figuring out your character voice. My advice is just to wing it. Just try it out. You can look at the appearance of your character, their class and backstory, to give you a baseline, which is very useful, but for the finer details, you have to figure them out as you go along. If you're playing a fighter dwarf, they're most likely to have a deep, rough voice and be blunt in their speech, and not try to hide their intentions. Character dialogue. Character dialogue is a very tricky thing if your campaign is set in medieval times. Your character would use medieval terms and language. And the problem with this is that since we aren't in medieval times, how do we know what medieval people actually sounded like and what words they used? Stereotypes are often used for this, what language they would use and how they would say things, and this can be helpful, but I would say the best thing you can do is remove modern slang from what you say. Modern slang, such as conjunctions like can't or wouldn't, weren't around in medieval times. They're split into cannot or would not. By doing this, you can sound a lot more like you were a person from medieval and not modern times. Relationships with other characters. As a person, when you talk to people, you begin to develop a relationship, and your D&D character is no different. If you talk to other characters or player characters for long enough, you begin to develop a relationship with them. Think of how you interact with one friend compared to another. It's the same idea here. How you interact with another player's character is going to be different with how someone else does. The point I'm trying to get at is you have to treat your character and other characters and player characters like they are real people. And at a certain point, your role-playing makes your character real. This certainly is a very advanced role-playing technique, but once you learn to employ it, your role-playing immediately becomes better. Knowing your character. I've already covered a lot of the important things on knowing your character in the backstory and getting into the head of your character sessions. In those sessions, I said that you need to know what your character's mental process is, their emotions, decision-making, and backstory. One more important thing that I haven't mentioned, though, is you need to remember things about your character you can use to roleplay. This is very difficult because there's a lot of things you need to remember about your character. Their backstory, spells, how they talk, and use language. One thing I recommend doing to help in this is writing down a few quick notes about things you need to remember about your character, to roleplay your character. Your character sheet is a good place, or on a piece of paper you'll remember. Your role-playing style. One thing that's difficult about giving advice for is your role-playing style. Your role-playing style is how you get into the head of your character and how you figure out what choices your character would make. I can't give much advice on this since it depends on you, but I can say once you find your style, role-playing will become much easier, and the best thing I would recommend to do is try a bunch of different ways of role-playing. The more ways you try out, the faster you'll find the one that suits you. Engaging with the story. Even if you employ all of the best role-playing techniques and get into the head of your character perfectly, it doesn't matter if you don't engage with the story. This section is more of a reminder than anything, but it can be very easy to employ all of these techniques and completely forget about engaging with the story. So remember to put that role-playing to use. Having fun while role-playing. In the end, you need to remember to have fun. If role-playing your character isn't fun for you, come up with a reason for your character's personality to change, or you can talk to your dungeon master. Role-playing is meant to be fun, and if it isn't satisfying for you, that's okay. And it's perfectly fine to change your character's personality if it doesn't fit your role-playing style. Just make sure you talk to your dungeon master about it, and the personality change happened due to an event that happened to your character. An unexplained personality change breaks immersion, and it is worse than not changing your character at all. So remember, role-playing is meant to be fun, and you can change your character if it doesn't suit you. Thanks so much for watching, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and let me know what was the most helpful advice in the comments. Have a good one, and thanks for watching.